Jake Mitchell pressed his back against the cold metal wall and held his breath. The hallway was empty, but he could hear footsteps getting closer. His heart beat fast as he checked his watch. The mission was already running late. 3 years ago, the Zephyrians had won the war. Their ships filled the sky above Earth like dark clouds. Their weapons could destroy entire cities in minutes. Their technology was so advanced that humans looked like children playing with sticks and stones. But Jake had not given up. None of the human rebels had given up. They fought from the shadows, striking quick and running fast. Today was their biggest mission yet. The Stellar Crown was the largest ship in the Zephyrian fleet. It was beautiful and deadly, with smooth silver walls and glowing blue lights. More importantly, it carried the quantum core blueprints that could change everything. If humans could build those cores, they might have a chance. Jake looked down the hall again. Still empty. He touched his earpiece and whispered, "Amy, where are you?" Amy Rodriguez was the best tech person Jake knew. She could hack into any computer system and make it dance to her tune. Right now, she was somewhere in the ship's computer center, trying to break through the Zephyrian security codes. "Still working." Amy's voice came through the earpiece. "These alien computers are tricky. Give me 5 more minutes." Jake nodded, even though she could not see him. He had learned to trust Amy's skill over the past 2 years. If she said 5 minutes, she meant it. Ryan Blake was handling the explosives. He was a big man with gentle hands that could build bombs small enough to hide in a coin or large enough to blow up a building. His job was to create a distraction when they needed to escape. Kate Sullivan was their pilot. She was waiting in their stolen Zephyrian shuttle, ready to get them out fast. Kate could fly anything with wings or engines. She had saved their lives more times than Jake could count. The Zephyrians thought humans were stupid animals. They saw them as pets that could do simple work but nothing important. This made humans almost invisible to them. Guards would look right through a human worker in the halls. That was how Jake's team had gotten on the ship. They wore the gray uniforms of human servants. They carried cleaning tools and food trays. The Zephyrian guards saw what they expected to see and nothing more. But now something was wrong. Red lights began flashing on the walls. A loud alarm started ringing. Jake heard heavy footsteps running in the halls. His blood turned cold. "Amy, what's happening?" he whispered into his earpiece. "I don't know," Amy said. Her voice sounded scared. "I touched the wrong thing. The whole security system just woke up. They know we're here." Jake cursed under his breath. The plan was falling apart. "Where are you now?" "Level 7, Section C, but there are guards coming. Lots of them." "Ryan, Kate, can you hear this?" Jake asked. "I'm here," Ryan said, getting ready to blow some holes in their pretty ship. "Don't wait for us," Kate's voice came through. "I can see security ships launching. We need to go now." Jake made a quick decision. Everyone split up. Use the backup plan. Meet at the shuttle in 20 minutes. He turned off his earpiece and started running. The halls of the Stellar Crown were like a maze. Every turn looked the same, with the same silver walls and blue lights. But Jake had studied the ship plans for weeks. He knew where to go. The royal section was on the top level. It was the one place security might not think to look first. Zephyrians were proud creatures. They would not believe humans were brave enough or stupid enough to hide in their most sacred area. Jake found a service ladder and climbed up fast. His hands were sweating inside his gloves. The alarm kept ringing, getting louder and more urgent. He reached the royal level and looked around. The walls here were different. Instead of plain silver, they had gold lines and strange symbols. The lights were softer, more like candles than the harsh blue glow in the rest of the ship. Jake heard voices coming closer. He tried the first door he saw. Locked. The second door was locked too. The voices were getting louder. The third door opened. Jake slipped inside and closed it quietly behind him. The room was dark except for a few soft lights near the walls. He could see it was some kind of bedroom, but much larger than any human bedroom. The bed was huge and covered with silk that seemed to change colors in the light. There were strange plants in pots around the room. They glowed with their own light and moved slowly even though there was no wind. The air smelled like flowers Jake had never seen before. He found a large closet and hid inside. The clothes hanging there were made of materials that felt like water and light. Jake pushed them aside and sat down on the floor. All he could do now was wait and hope his team made it out alive. Outside, he could hear the guards running past the door. They were shouting in the Zephyrian language, which sounded like music mixed with thunder. Jake did not understand the words, but he could hear the anger in their voices. He checked his watch again. 15 minutes until the meeting time. His team was smart and tough. They would find a way out. They had to. Jake closed his eyes and tried to calm his breathing. In the dark closet, surrounded by alien clothes and strange smells, he thought about Earth. About the cities that were now ruins. About the humans who lived as slaves on their own planet. This mission had to work. The quantum cores were humanity's only hope. But first, he had to survive the next 15 minutes. Jake had been hiding in the closet for 10 minutes when he heard the door to the room open. His heart stopped. Someone was coming in. Light footsteps moved across the floor. They were too soft to be guard boots. Jake held his breath and listened. He heard water running and soft music starting to play. Whoever was in the room was not looking for him. They lived here. Through the crack in the closet door, Jake could see a tall figure moving around the room. The person had long silver hair that seemed to glow in the soft light. Their skin was pale blue like ice under moonlight. This was a Zephyrian, but not like the soldiers Jake had seen before. The figure moved with grace like a dancer. They wore flowing robes that changed color as they moved. Jake realized this must be someone very important. Maybe even royalty. The Zephyrian sat down at a table and picked up what looked like a book. But instead of pages, it showed moving pictures in the air above it. Jake could see images of humans. Not the broken, defeated humans of today, but humans from before the war. They were laughing, dancing, creating art. The Zephyrian watched these images with great interest. Sometimes they would pause the pictures and study them closely. Jake was confused. Why would an alien care about old human movies? After an hour, the Zephyrian stood up and walked toward the closet. Jake's blood turned to ice. There was nowhere to run. He was trapped. The closet door opened and light poured in. Jake looked up into the most beautiful face he had ever seen. It was clearly alien, with large eyes that changed color like jewels and features that were too perfect to be human. But there was something in those eyes that looked almost human. Curiosity. Well, the Zephyrian said in perfect English. This is interesting. Jake tried to speak, but no words came out. He expected to die. Instead, the Zephyrian stepped back and gestured for him to come out. You can stand up, she said. Her voice was like music. I'm not going to hurt you. Jake slowly got to his feet. He was still holding his breath. You are one of the rebels, she said. It was not a question. The ones who broke into our computer systems today. Jake nodded. There was no point in lying. My name is Lirelei, she said. I am a princess of the royal house. And you are the first human I have ever met face to face, Jake, he managed to say. Jake Mitchell, Princess Lirelei smiled. It was a strange smile, like she was trying to copy something she had seen in a picture. Jake Mitchell, a simple name for a complex creature. She walked to the table where the book was still showing human images. I have been studying your species for 3 years. Ever since we conquered your world, my people think humans are just clever animals, but I think they are wrong. Jake did not know what to say. This was not how he expected to die. Your art, Lirelei continued, pointing at the moving pictures. Your music, your stories, your emotions. They are so chaotic, so unpredictable. My people find this disturbing, but I find it beautiful. Why? Jake asked. Lirelei turned to look at him. Because we have lost something. We Zephyrians used to be like you long ago. We felt things strongly. We created new things. We took risks. But as we became more advanced, we became more controlled. Now we all think the same thoughts. We all feel the same feelings. We are perfect, but we are empty. She walked closer to Jake. He could smell something like flowers and starlight. We read minds, she said. All Zephyrians can speak to each other with thoughts. We share everything. But humans are different. When I try to read your mind, I find silence. It is like looking into a deep, dark ocean. Jake remembered his training. Human brains were different from Zephyrian brains. That was why the aliens could not control humans the way they controlled other species. I want to understand, Lirelei said. I want to know what it feels like to be human, to have a mind that is truly your own. She reached out her hand toward Jake's face. Her fingers were long and graceful with a soft blue glow under the skin. Touch me there, she said softly, pointing to her temple. Let me try to connect with you. I want to feel what you feel. Jake hesitated. He did not know what would happen, but something in her eyes made him trust her. Maybe it was loneliness. Maybe it was curiosity, or maybe it was something else. He reached out and placed his hand on her temple. The effect was immediate and shocking. Jake felt like lightning was running through his brain. Images flashed through his mind, not his images, but hers. He saw the Zephyrian homeworld, with its crystal cities in perfect harmony. He felt what it was like to have thousands of minds connected to yours, all thinking the same peaceful thoughts. But Lyrelay was experiencing something even more intense. Through their connection, she felt Jake's emotions, his fear, his anger at the war, his love for his team, his hope for humanity's future. To someone who had lived her whole life in mental silence and control, these feelings hit like a storm. She gasped and pulled back but kept her hand on his face. Tears were running down her cheeks. Jake had never seen a Zephyrian cry before. "So much," she whispered. "You feel so much. How do you live with all of this noise in your head?" "We learn to," Jake said. "It's what makes us human." Lyrelay stared at him with wonder. "I understand now why my people fear you. You are chaos itself. Beautiful, terrible chaos." The connection faded, but something had changed between them. Jake realized he had forgotten about his mission, his team, even the war. All he could think about was the sadness he had seen in her mind. "Your friends," Lyrelay said suddenly. "They are still on the ship. Security is hunting them." Jake's heart jumped. "I have to help them." "No," Lyrelay said. "If you leave this room, you will be caught. But I might be able to help them another way." She looked at him with those changing eyes. "Tell me, Jake Mitchell, what exactly did you come here to steal?" Jake told Lyrelay about the quantum core blueprints. Her face grew very serious as she listened. "Those plans are in the main computer vault," she said. "The most protected place on this ship. Your friends will never reach them." "Then they'll die trying," Jake said. Lyrelay was quiet for a long moment. Then she touched a panel on the wall. Images appeared in the air showing different parts of the ship. Jake could see security guards running through halls, searching every room. "There," Lyrelay pointed to one image. "Your friend with the dark hair. She is still in the computer center." Jake saw Amy hiding behind a large machine. Guards were getting closer to her hiding spot. And there, Lyrelay pointed to another image. The big man with the explosives. Ryan was trapped in a storage room. Jake could see him setting up bombs, getting ready to fight his way out. "I can help them," Lyrelay said. "But first you must understand something. If I do this, I become a traitor to my own people. They will hunt me for the rest of my life." "Why would you do that for us?" Jake asked. Lyrelay smiled that strange smile again. "Because in your mind, I saw something my people have forgotten. Hope. Even when everything seems lost, humans keep hoping, keep fighting. We Zephyrians gave up hoping long ago." She touched the panel again. The images changed to show different parts of the ship. "I will create false alarms in other sections," she said. "This will draw the guards away from your friends. But you must stay here. If anyone sees you with me, we will both die." Jake wanted to argue, but he knew she was right. He watched as Lyrelay's fingers danced over the control panel. Alarms started ringing in distant parts of the ship. On the images, he could see guards running toward the false signals. Amy noticed the guards leaving and quickly moved to a new hiding spot. Ryan used the distraction to plant his bombs and slip away. Jake felt a little better, but he was still worried about Kate waiting in the shuttle. Over the next few hours, Lyrelay helped guide his team through the ship. She would create distractions when they needed to move and warn them when guards were coming. Jake watched it all from her room, feeling helpless but grateful. "Your people work well together," Lyrelay said. "Like parts of one mind, but still independent. It is beautiful." "We've been a team for 2 years," Jake said. "We trust each other completely." "Trust." Lyrelay repeated the word like she was tasting it. "Another thing my people have lost. When you can read everyone's thoughts, trust becomes meaningless." As the hours passed, Jake learned more about Lyrelay. She was not just any princess. She was the daughter of the Zephyrian emperor himself. But she had always been different from other Zephyrians. While they saw the conquest of Earth as necessary and good, she had questions. "Show me something," she said, touching the wall panel. New images appeared, not from the ship, but from Earth itself. Jake's heart broke as he saw his home planet. Cities lay in ruins. Humans worked in camps, building machines for their alien masters. Children who had never known freedom looked up at the sky with empty eyes. "This is what victory looks like," Lyra Lay said quietly. "My father calls it peace, order, harmony." "It's slavery," Jake said, anger building in his voice. "Yes," Lyra Lay agreed, "but there is something my father does not want other Zephyrians to know." The images changed again. Now Jake saw recordings that looked much older. Humans building incredible machines. Humans creating art and music and technology that seemed almost magical. These were not the broken humans of today, but humans from before the war. Proud, creative, and free. "Your species created wonders," Lyra Lay said. "Art that could make people cry with beauty. Music that could heal broken hearts. Technology that seemed to grow like living things." "I don't understand," Jake said. Lyra Lay touched his hand gently. "The quantum cores you came to steal. They were not created by Zephyrians." Jake felt the world spin around him. "What?" "Humans built the first quantum cores 50 years ago. They were small, experimental things. But they worked on principles we had never seen before. While our technology follows perfect rules, human technology dances. It improvises. It does things that should be impossible." The images showed human scientists working with machines that seemed alive. The quantum cores pulsed with light that moved like music. "When we conquered Earth, we did not just want your planet," Lyra Lay continued. "We wanted your creativity, your chaos, your ability to make something from nothing." Jake understood now. "You didn't just beat us, you stole from us." "Yes. And now our greatest scientists study human minds, trying to understand how your creativity works. They want to copy it, control it, make it serve our empire. But they can't, can they?" Jake realized. "That's why you're still studying us, because you can't figure out how we do it." Lyra Lay nodded. "Creativity cannot be copied. It can only be born from the chaos of individual minds, free minds." She showed him more images. Zephyrian scientists working with human prisoners trying to force them to create new technologies. But the humans in the images looked broken, defeated. Their creations were crude copies of their former work. "A caged bird may sing," Lyra Lay said, "but it will never compose a new song." Jake felt something he had not felt in years. Real hope. "The quantum cores they have now are dying," Lyra Lay finished. "Without free human minds to improve them, they break down, become less efficient. My father knows this, but he will never admit it. To admit it would mean admitting that humans are not just animals." "How many people know this?" Jake asked. "Very few. It is the most guarded secret in the Empire." Lyra Lay looked at him with those changing eyes. "And now I have told it to a human rebel." Jake stared at her. This changed everything. If the Zephyrian technology was failing, if they needed human creativity to survive, then humanity had more power than anyone realized. "Why are you telling me this?" he asked. "Because I have seen inside your mind," Lyra Lay said. "I have felt what it means to be truly alive, and I realize that my people are not living. We are just existing. Perfect, empty, dying." She touched the control panel one more time. "Your friends have reached the computer vault. They are downloading what they can find. But the real secret, the secret I have just shared with you, that is worth more than any blueprint." Jake looked at the images showing Amy working frantically at a computer terminal, while Ryan and Kate watched for guards. "They're going to make it," he said. "Yes," Lyra Lay said, "but now comes the hard part, getting off this ship alive." The alarm suddenly stopped ringing. The silence was worse than the noise. "Something is wrong," Lyra Lay said, her fingers flying over the control panel. The images in the air showed guards moving in new patterns. They were no longer searching randomly. They had a plan. "They found your shuttle," she said quietly. Jake saw Kate surrounded by Zephyrian soldiers. She had her hands up, but her eyes were still looking for a way to escape. Jake's heart sank. And your other friends are trapped in the computer vault, Lyrelei continued. Someone betrayed you. On the screen, Jake could see Amy and Ryan backed into a corner. Amy was still working at the computer, trying to download the last files. Ryan had his explosives ready, but there were too many guards. They would not win this fight. I have to help them, Jake said, starting toward the door. Wait. Lyrelei grabbed his arm. If you go out there, you will just die with them. But there is another way. She stood up and walked to a wall panel Jake had not noticed before. When she touched it, the wall opened to reveal a small room filled with weapons and armor. I am a princess, she said, taking out a weapon that looked like crystal and lightning. I have access to all ship systems. I can override the security locks, open all the doors, even shut down the main power. But if you do that, they'll know it was you, Jake said. Lyrelei put on armor that seemed to flow over her body like liquid metal. Yes, they will know. And they will hunt me until they find me. But your friends will have a chance to escape. Jake stared at her. You would give up everything for us? Not for you, Lyrelei said, checking her weapon. For what you represent. For the hope that maybe someday my people can remember how to truly live again. She walked to the main control panel and placed her hand on it. But first I need to give you something. Something more valuable than any weapon or technology. What? Everything I know. Lyrelei looked at him with those beautiful, changing eyes. My memories of the Empire. Our technology. Our weaknesses. Our fears. All of it. How? Lyrelei smiled sadly. The same way we connected before. But this time I will give you everything, not just a taste. It will hurt and it might kill me. But if you survive, you will know everything I know. Jake understood what she was offering. Complete intelligence about the enemy. The location of every ship, every base, every secret. It would change the war. I can't ask you to do that, he said. You are not asking. I am choosing. Lyrelei's fingers moved over the control panel. All across the ship, doors began opening. Lights started flashing. Guards ran in confusion as their carefully planned trap fell apart. On the screens, Jake saw Amy and Ryan burst out of the computer vault. They were free, but more guards were coming. Kate was still captured, but some of the soldiers around her were running to deal with the new alarms. Now, Lyrelei said, holding out her hand. Before they trace the override to this room, Jake took her hand. The connection was immediate, but this time it was like being hit by a river instead of lightning. Information poured into his mind. Star maps, ship designs, political secrets, military codes. He saw the Zephyrian homeworld through her eyes. He felt the loneliness of a people who had forgotten how to dream, but it was too much. Jake's mind felt like it was breaking. He tried to let go, but Lyrelei held on tight. Almost finished, she gasped. Blood was running from her nose. The transfer was hurting her too. The door to the room exploded inward. Guards in heavy armor poured in, their weapons charged and ready. They saw their princess connected to a human rebel and understood immediately what was happening. Stop, the lead guard shouted. Princess, step away from the human. Lyrelei ignored them. The information transfer continued. Jake saw battle plans, supply routes, the location of human prison camps, so much knowledge that his human brain could barely hold it all. The guards opened fire. Lyrelei threw herself in front of Jake, taking the energy blasts meant for him. She screamed as the weapons burned through her armor and into her body, but she did not let go of his hand. Almost done, she whispered, her voice weak. Just a little more. More guards were coming. Ryan's voice came through Jake's earpiece. He and Amy had found another shuttle and were fighting their way to the landing bay. Kate had broken free during the confusion and was running toward them. The last piece of information flowed into Jake's mind. The location of the Zephyrian Emperor's private palace and the codes to get inside. Then Lyrelei collapsed. Jake caught her as she fell. Her beautiful face was pale and her eyes were losing their color. Did it work? She asked weakly. Jake nodded. His head was full of secrets that could win the war. Lyrelei smiled one last time. Good, now go. My people will not hurt you while I still live, but that will not be for long. Come with me, Jake said. My people have doctors. They can help you. No, Lyrelei said.
This is my choice.
My gift to the future. But promise me something. Anything. When you use what I have given you, remember that not all Zephyrians are your enemy. Some of us still dream of a better way. Jake heard explosions in the distance. Ryan was blowing up parts of the ship to create confusion. The guards around them were getting new orders through their communicators. A human shuttle was trying to escape. Go, Lyreley whispered. Touch me there one more time. Let me feel what hope feels like. Jake placed his hand on her temple. Through their connection, he shared his certainty that humanity would survive, that freedom would return, that her sacrifice would not be wasted. He felt her joy at experiencing such pure hope. Then her eyes closed for the last time. Jake gently laid her down and ran for the door. The guards were too busy with the ship's alarms to stop him immediately. He had maybe 2 minutes before they organized a search. He ran through the corridors, using the ship knowledge Lyreley had given him to find the fastest route to the landing bay. Behind him, he could hear guards shouting orders and running in all directions. When he reached the landing bay, he saw Amy and Ryan's stolen shuttle lifting off. Energy blasts filled the air around it, but Kate's flying skills got them clear of the ship. Jake found another small shuttle and started it up. His hands moved over the controls like he had been flying Zephyrian ships his whole life. Lyreley's knowledge guided him. As he flew away from the stellar crown, Jake looked back at the massive ship. Somewhere inside, a princess lay dead because she had believed in something better than war. But her gift lived on in his mind, and with it, humanity finally had a real chance to win. 6 months later, Jake stood on the bridge of the starship Freedom. It was the first ship built by free humans in 3 years, and it was beautiful. The hull was made of earth steel mixed with Zephyrian crystal. The engines used quantum cores that were better than anything the aliens had ever built. Through the large windows, Jake could see the planet New Haven below. It had been a Zephyrian prison world just 2 weeks ago. Now it was free, and 30,000 humans were building new lives under its purple sky. Commander Mitchell, Amy called from her station. She was no longer just a hacker. She was now the chief technology officer of the human resistance. We're getting signals from the Lincoln and the Washington. Both prison camps have been liberated successfully. Jake nodded. It was the 15th successful mission this month. The information Lyreley had given him was more valuable than gold. Every Zephyrian base, every supply route, every weakness, it was all in his head as clear as his own memories. Any casualties? Jake asked. None on our side, Ryan reported. He was now in charge of all resistance military operations. The Zephyrians seem confused. They keep expecting us to attack from one direction, but we come from another. Jake smiled. The aliens could not understand how humans had suddenly become so smart about their tactics. They did not know that one of their own princesses had given humanity the keys to their empire. Kate walked onto the bridge carrying a data pad. She had become the leader of all human pilots, teaching other humans to fly the new ships they were building. The supply mission to Earth was successful, she reported. We delivered food, medicine, and weapons to the underground resistance. The Zephyrians are starting to lose control of the major cities. Earth was still occupied, but not as completely as before. Every week, more humans joined the resistance. Every week, the Zephyrians lost more ground. But the biggest change was not military. It was technological. The quantum core blueprints Amy had stolen from the Stellar Crown were just the beginning. Using Lyreley's knowledge, human scientists had built cores that were twice as efficient as the Zephyrian versions. They had learned to make the technology grow and change like living things. Show me the new engine designs, Jake said. Amy touched her control panel, and holographic images appeared in the air. The new human ships looked nothing like Zephyrian vessels. Where alien ships were smooth and perfect, human ships seemed to flow and dance. They were chaos made beautiful. The test pilots say these ships feel alive, Amy explained. They respond to the pilot's emotions as much as their commands. It's like the ship becomes part of the person flying it. This was what the Zephyrians had never understood. Human technology worked best when it was personal, creative, unpredictable. A human engineer building an engine would add little improvements that no computer could plan. A human pilot would make flying choices that no tactical manual could teach. Commander, Ryan said, we're getting a message on the diplomatic channel. Jake was surprised. The Zephyrians had never tried to talk before. They only gave orders. Put it through, he said. The image of a Zephyrian admiral appeared in the air. He looked tired and frustrated. I am Admiral Zenthar of the Imperial Fleet, the alien said. I wish to speak with the human resistance leaders. I'm listening, Jake said. We want to discuss a ceasefire, Admiral Zenthar said. The words seemed to hurt him. Perhaps a trade agreement, Jake almost laughed. 6 months ago, the Zephyrians had called humans animals. Now they wanted to make deals. What kind of trade? Jake asked. You have Certain technologies we need, the Admiral said carefully. Quantum core improvements. Ship designs. Things our scientists cannot replicate. And what would you offer in return? Freedom for some human colonies. Maybe Earth itself in time. Jake looked around the bridge at his team. Amy, Ryan, and Kate were all waiting for his answer. They had fought too hard to accept half measures now. No deal, Jake said. Complete freedom for all humans or the war continues. Admiral Zenthar's face showed anger, then resignation. You do not understand. Without our technology trades, both our species will suffer. We understand perfectly, Jake said. You need us more than we need you, and we will never be slaves again. The communication ended. Jake knew the Admiral would be back. The Zephyrians were running out of options. Later that day, Jake stood alone in his quarters, looking at a small holographic image on his desk. It showed Princess Lirelai smiling, frozen in a moment of happiness from her study of human culture. Since her death, more Zephyrians had begun questioning their empire's actions. Some had even tried to contact the human resistance, offering information or help. Lirelai's sacrifice was inspiring others to think differently. I kept my promise, Jake said to the image. We remember that not all Zephyrians are our enemies. The door to his quarters opened and Amy walked in. The new shipyard at Alpha Station is finished, she reported. We can build 50 ships a month now. And the Earth Resistance says they're ready for the big push. Jake nodded. The plan was simple but bold. Using their new ships and Lirelai's knowledge, they would strike at the heart of the Zephyrian Empire. Not to destroy it, but to force it to change. Are you ready? Amy asked. Jake looked at the hologram one more time, then turned it off. Yes, it's time to finish what we started. 3 weeks later, the human fleet arrived at the Zephyrian homeworld. 100 ships strong, moving like a school of fish through space. The Zephyrian defenders tried to stop them, but the human ships danced around their attacks like leaves in the wind. Jake led the main assault on the Imperial Palace. Using Lirelai's access codes, they penetrated the most protected building in the galaxy. When they reached the throne room, they found the Emperor waiting for them. He was old and tired, sitting on a throne made of crystal and starlight. When he saw Jake, recognition flickered in his eyes. You are the one who corrupted my daughter, the Emperor said. Your daughter chose to help us, Jake replied. She chose hope over fear. And what do you choose, human? Revenge? Jake looked around the throne room. It was beautiful but cold, like everything the Zephyrians built. Perfect but empty. We choose the future, Jake said. A future where both our species can be free to grow, to change, to dream new dreams. The Emperor was quiet for a long moment. Then he asked, What are your terms? Jake smiled. It was not the smile of a conqueror, but of someone offering friendship to an old enemy. No terms, he said. Just an invitation. Your daughter showed me that Zephyrians can change. Now I want to show you that humans can forgive. Outside the palace windows, human and Zephyrian ships were flying together, no longer at war. In the distance, the stars shined with new possibilities. Princess Lirelai had been right. Sometimes understanding your enemy was more powerful than destroying them, and sometimes a simple touch could change the universe.